Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from GwendolynKingsford from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and it says, Am I the Arsehole? For telling my dad I know about his second family, after he asked me to keep a secret from my mum for 3 years. I, 23 female, found out in June 2023 that my dad, 54 male, had a child with another woman. I found out by accident. I borrowed his phone to call someone and a message notification came up from a woman named Karen with a photo of a little girl who looked exactly like my dad. I confronted him alone that same night and he broke down and admitted everything. The girl is now 4 years old. He begged me not to tell my mum, 51 female, and said he was handling it, that it was complicated, that Karen had agreed to keep things quiet and that telling mum would destroy our family. I was 20 years old sitting across from my father watching him cry and I said, okay. I kept that secret for 3 years. Every family dinner, every holiday, every time my mum talked about how much she trusted my dad, I sat there and said nothing. It affected me more than I told anyone. I started therapy in early 2024 specifically because of the anxiety this secret was giving me. My therapist never told me what to do but kept asking me how long I was willing to carry something that was not mine to carry. Last month in June 2026, my dad sat me down and told me Karen was threatening to tell my mum herself unless he started paying more. He wanted me to help him figure out how to keep it quiet. That was the moment something snapped. I told him I was done. I could not keep doing this. 2 days later, I sat down with my mum and told her everything. She was devastated. She is currently staying with her sister and has spoken to a divorce lawyer. My dad is furious and says I betrayed him and destroyed our family. My younger brother, 19 male, says I should have stayed out of it. My therapist says I made the right call for my own mental health without telling me if it was right or wrong. I genuinely do not know if I did the right thing or just the thing I could no longer avoid doing. Am I the arsehole? The first commenter says, parents who transfer emotional or financial responsibility to their children are cruel. Not the arsehole. Your dad needs to grow up. Opie says, thank you. That's exactly what it felt like. Being handed something that was never mine to hold at 20, and then being asked to help hide it further at 23. I didn't have the words for it before, but cruel fits. Commenter says, imagine how your mum feels. You didn't just know. You knew for 3 years and kept it from her. I'd feel as though you betrayed me as well. For 3 years you were complicit in your father's lie and betrayal. Sure, you came clean, but you did it for you, not her. Remember that in the future. I hope he says that's fair. And honestly, it's the part that I keep sitting with most. I didn't tell her for 3 years. And yeah, when I finally did, it was because I couldn't carry it anymore. Not some noble timing on her behalf. I don't think that makes me a villain of it, but I get why it doesn't look clean either. Commenter says, the only person who should carry any guilt in this is your father. He lied and cheated on your mother and manipulated you into keeping his secret. He didn't care about her, you, or your mental health. He was completely responsible for it all, not you. Anyone who tries to guilt you is an arsehole. Opie says, thank you. Yeah, I keep coming back to that. He's the one who lied, cheated, and then leaned on me to help hold it together. None of that was ever mine to own. Commenter says, not the arsehole. It was affecting your health. Opie says, thank you. It genuinely was. That's why I finally had to let it go. Commenter says, the audacity of your dad to say you betrayed him when he begged and pleaded for you to betray your mother after he himself betrayed her. Opie says, exactly. That word betrayed coming from him is what got me. He asked me to be complicit for 3 years and calls it betrayal when I finally stopped. Commenter says, not the arsehole. Your dad put you in an impossible position and expected you to carry a secret for years. That wasn't fair to you or your mum. He destroyed the family by cheating, not by you telling the truth. You just stopped covering for him. Opie says, thank you, that's exactly it. I just stopped covering for him. He's the one who put the crack there in the first place. One more commenter says, you did the right thing. Your mum needs to get tested and your mum needs to take Daddy Dearest to the cleaners. He had his cake and ate it, cutting your family finances to support a second family. And now he's upset for getting caught. You should have divorced your mum if he was that unhappy with her. Do not feel guilty. Hope your mum forgives you too for not telling her sooner. Get your mum to get tested. Anyone willing to cheat with a married man might be cheating on him too. Opie says that's a lot to take in, but fair points, especially about the testing. Hadn't even thought of that angle. Appreciate you laying it out plainly. Hope my mum gets there on the forgiveness part too. Still an open question right now. Ugh, this is an absolutely rough one because I can understand why the mum may feel betrayed by OP as well. Even though, the overwhelming responsibility absolutely lies with the dad in this position and what he did. He put his 20-year-old daughter in an absolute shitty position. He didn't just confess something terrible to her. He cried and begged her to protect him, essentially making her responsible for whatever fallout of his choices. And instead, when his secret was becoming more difficult to hold, instead of actually taking some kind of responsibility for it, he then asks her again to help him hide it even further. And clearly, it's had a huge mental toll on OP at the same time, which of course I think OP should have told the mum sooner. And again, I can understand if her mum is going to struggle with the fact that she didn't. But there is a huge difference between OP making an absolutely bad decision, under the pressure that she was, the emotional pressure from her dad, and her dad deliberately having an affair, hiding a child, deceiving his wife for years, and then getting his daughter to cover it up. And then him turning around and saying that OP destroyed the family. Bloody cheek of him. So OP comes into the post 9 days later and says, "It's only been 9 days since I made my original post, but things have moved much faster than I expected. My mum is still staying with my aunt and has already met with a divorce lawyer to understand their options. Although nothing has been officially filed yet, she told me that while the affair itself broke her heart, what hurt even more was realizing my dad had been lying to her for years and had asked me to carry that secret alone. She kept apologizing for not noticing how much it had affected me, and I kept reminding her none of this was her fault. My dad is still blaming me and insists I destroyed our family, instead of giving him more time to fix things. But I honestly don't know how anyone fixes secretly having another child. We haven't really spoken since. My younger brother has calmed down a little, even though he's still upset about everything, and I think he's starting to understand why I couldn't keep the secret anymore. I said I haven't met Karen or my half-sister, and I don't know what will happen there. I've continued going to therapy, while everything still hurts. I also feel a strange sense of relief because I'm no longer carrying a secret that was never mine to keep. Reading the comments on my original post helped me realize that I didn't create the situation, just stopped protecting it." Commenter says, "Definitely not the arsehole, mate. Your dad is seriously a big one though. Fair play to your mum. Would have been easy to lash out at you. Your dad, on top of being a cheating piece of shit, is also a tossbag to you, putting that pressure on you. Your brother will come around. Hope your mum gets an okay and rinses him for every penny. Don't know how you'll build a relationship with the other woman. I wouldn't personally, but that's me. But I hope you can kindle some sort of big sibling connection with a half-sister. It's not her fault, and is still a toddler." Hope says, "Thank you. My brother is still struggling, but I hope he'll come around with time. As for my half-sister, she's completely innocent in all of this, and none of this is her fault." Commenter says, as previously stated, this was his problem, not yours, and it was wrong for him to expect you to carry it. Keep going to therapy. Opie responds saying, "Thank you. Therapy has honestly been the only thing keeping me grounded through all of this, and I definitely plan to keep going." Commenter says, "The destroyer is your father. This is all in his head, not the arsehole." Opie says, "Thank you. I'm slowly accepting that, even if it's hard to believe after being blamed for so long." Commenter says, "Your mum has a big heart. She apologizes for not seeing you carrying the burden. I would love to have her as a friend. Your dad is irresponsible and lied to your mum so many years. I am very sorry how he treated you. What is different with more time? All this hurt could only be avoided if he had kept it in his pants many years ago. I'm very sorry for the little girl. She has no father." Opie says, "Thank you. My mum has been incredibly strong throughout all of this. I hate that she ever had to go through it. I also feel for my half-sister because none of this was her choice." Commenter says, "Definitely not the arsehole. Your brother is understandably upset and he's lashing out, but at the wrong person. But like you, his world has just fallen around him, and he sounds a young 19-year-old. Your dad, on the other hand, is a fucking child and needs to face up to what he has done and be a man about it rather than pushing it onto you. He absolutely did the right thing, not just for yourself, but the family." Opie says, "Thank you. I don't blame my brother for struggling with this. I just wish my dad had taken responsibility instead of expecting me to carry the consequences of his choices. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Can't believe he tried to turn it around on OP, saying OP destroyed the family, the bloody cheeky sod. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story was shared on our very own subreddit, r/Mark Narrations. It came from the Boru Updates subreddit from VariationStill and says, I think the midnight dancer I've been seeing is in love with me. Gonna be a lot of cliches in here to preface, but I, 26 male, have been single for almost 4 years now since a nasty breakup with ex, major debt and cheating. A few months ago for a friend's birthday, we went to a strip joint. Lol. He was having a great time, then was approached by a Colombian girl for a dance. Respectfully declined and offered her a drink instead, and she accepted. Sat down next to me and we got to talking and tells me her life story. She's my age, working a retail job and dancing to put herself through school for nursing. Danced on me a bit at the bar. Had a really great conversation, completely dodged my boys that night, basically lol. But towards the end of the night, she asked if I had any plans after. I told her this was it, and asked if I could take her home. Told her I'd come back for her. Dropped off the manpower and picked her up. Offered her food. She said no thanks, said she cooked. Got to her place, not really expecting anything as I had a great conversation and just felt nice that night. Anyways, asked if I wanted to come up. Parked, went upstairs, got fixed a hot plate of food and beer and had sex. After that, did some aftercare, and she said she felt embarrassed because she doesn't sleep around, but said she really liked me and thought I was attractive. Got a number and left in the morning. Got home, showered, took a nap. A few days later, asked me to hang out. Turns out, our off days lined up. Went to the city and had a nice dinner. Dropped her off and genuinely had a great time. After that, we started seeing each other more often. On our off mornings from retail, she'd drop by my job and leave me home-cooked meals. Bought me a PS5 for my birthday and actually acts like a girlfriend, despite never having any conversation about it. Couples date we've been on have been real romantic. Picnic at the beach, hiking, paint and drink, and the like. After the first initial time together, we've slept maybe a few times, not every time we get together. I like her a lot. Takes a lot for me to say I love you because I don't like saying it unless I mean it. But she's introduced me to her parents. They live in Colombia. She FaceTimed them and introduced me as her boyfriend and went to a pool party with some of her midnight friends. And also introduced me as her boyfriend, which I don't mind. I know we gotta have a conversation about where this is going, but why put the pressure on something that's going so well? But anyways, just the things she's done for me that kind of give me the impression she's in love with me. Side note, the job doesn't really bother me. Never been the jealous type like ever, but I have a feeling she thinks otherwise, no matter how much I tell her it doesn't, lol. Then again, I think it's meant to say I don't want her to think I don't like her back. It's about balance. Just a little rant. Felt good, might have to get back to journaling again. Side note 2, should have prefaced that she's born here, for all you attention deficient readers. The commenter says to him, she's cooking you home-cooked meals and bought you a PS5. Don't listen to the insecure guys on here. If you want clarity, have a conversation with her like a big boy. Good luck, homie. Hope he says, definitely gotta put the big boy pants on, but appreciate that big dog. Mindless says, it's kinda crazy seeing the amount of people saying she might be using you. After all the dates, the home-cooked meals, buying you a PS5 and introducing you to her family as your boyfriend, I think she likes you for you, which is awesome. It sounds like you've enjoyed being with her too. Maybe you need to have a conversation just to confirm it if you don't feel like you're fully her boyfriend yet. But other than that, just enjoy yourself, dude. Hope says for sure it's her birthday this weekend. I'm definitely planning on having a talk over dinner and seeing what transpires, but appreciate you, my guy. And one more says, she introduced you to her parents as her boyfriend, bro. I don't think she's manipulating you at that point. I had to look through to see if there was manipulation comments, and there absolutely was. And I was like, what? I didn't see that in this story at all. It just sounds like she really likes this man. She's bringing him home-cooked meals, spending her free time going on actual dates with him, bought him a bloody PS5 for his birthday, introducing him to friends and family. I'm struggling to see what the manipulation people are seeing in this. OP's title got me though, The Midnight Dancer. All I had all the way through this story is Tina Turner's song, Private Dancer. But Opie does come in with an update and says, so this past Friday was her birthday and we had an adult conversation. Friday morning, woke up early and went to work and made sure everything was in order, such as dinner and activities. Picked her up with a bouquet and headed to the restaurant. She looked phenomenal. We chatted for a few, and while we waited for the food to arrive, I told her I needed to tell her something. Laid it out about how I felt about her and the works, about how I really don't mind the job, and that I wrote her a letter, but she couldn't read it until after the night was over. Very old school, I know, lol. I think we gotta bring back writing letters for your SO. I don't think I'll ever forget these words, but she laughed and said, boy, you've been in mine for a while already. I'm just glad you finally caught up. My man, when I tell you that shit had me geeking the whole night. When we talked about the future, she wants to be married and have kids eventually before her 30s. I do as well. She said she'd stop dancing when she finishes CNA, or if she has kids or gets married. I kinda screwed up by saying I'm sorry if I unknowingly set any expectation of her quitting her job for me. She laughed and said, you're lucky you're cute. After dinner we went to see the new Spider-Man movie. She's a huge Marvel fan. I've always been more of a DC guy myself. After that, we walked along the river with the city skyline in the background and just talked more about the future and life, and after proceeded to head back to my place. Back at my place, I told her I had a surprise for her, but she had to read the letter first. I blindfolded her and walked her into my bedroom, took the blindfold off and told her once she finished reading the letter, she could come out to the living room. After about 10 minutes, 2-page letter front and back, and probably had to gather herself as I'm sure she knew what was coming. She stepped out and I had my living room filled with rose petals, a few gifts, and balloon letters asking if she wanted to be my girlfriend. She cried and I handed her a needle. At the end of the letter I told her she'd be handed a needle once she steps out, that she would have to figure out what it was for. On opposite sides of the room I had balloon letters that spelled yes and no. She went to pop the yes letters and she ran to me and we hugged and kissed. And then she said, wait, so which date are we going to use as the official start? I said, how's the day you decided in your head that I was yours? She stayed the night, and Saturday and today were just a continuation of her birthday celebration. All in all, I can say now it's official. Commenter says, quoting, I handed her a needle and said, dude, was so worried about where this was going for a second. Commenter says, letters equal underrated, congrats. Another one says, midnight dancer, just a fancy way to say stripper. Detonating Flower says, if this is true, I'd be wary. School for that is a very minimal training course for a couple of weeks and not expensive or difficult. That job isn't going to pull the numbers stripping makes at all. The first week of her CNA job is going to have her back at stripping because the money sucks and the job is very laborious. Commodore says, lol, LMAO even. Hey OP, I got some magic beans to sell you. OP says, I got some for you kid. Run me $50 and I'ma flip it and you're gonna get back $5,000. Outside says, just dropping in to say, I had a stripper when I was 23, she was 30. We started seeing each other within a week, moved in with her after 2 weeks. She stopped dancing within a month and went to rehab. Had our first baby within a year. Now we have 3 kids and it's been 12 years. Best woman and person I've ever known. Obviously this is rare for anyone in any circumstance and position. Just saying it's possible. And one more commenter saying, yeah, she's lying to him. I thought the story is pretty sweet, apart from the comments at the end there, and I really hope that things do work out for them in the end. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from Wedding Throwaway 1, who says, my 27 female fiance 28 male has walked out on me 4 days before the wedding to go find himself in Asia. Blindsided, heartbroken, and mortified. What the hell do I do now? My fiancé Jack and I have been together for 4 years. We own an apartment together. We rarely argue. It was the happiest, least problematic relationship I've ever been in. I don't understand. He proposed to me last year and we spent the last 9 months saving relentlessly for our wedding. Venue booked, guests all invited, both of us were so excited. I know we both individually had some bouts of nervousness, especially as the date got closer. But as far as I know, it was just the excitement and build-up. Jack never expressed any doubts about our relationship and I have no idea why this has happened. Yesterday, 4 days to go, and I come out of the bedroom in the morning to see Jack sat in the living room looking like he's about to throw up. I immediately feel something is off. He sits me down and starts telling me he doesn't feel the same anymore and hasn't for a while. He said he thought getting married might fix things, but he now knows how stupid that is. To be honest, I don't remember the majority of what he said. The only thing I could hear was my heartbeat drumming in my ears. He then told me he'd booked a one-way ticket to Asia, and that he didn't know what he wanted anymore out of life, and that this would give him some perspective. And just like that, he got up and left, and I haven't heard a word from him since. I've spent about 3 hours sat on the sofa staring into space. I can't even cry. This doesn't feel real. Reddit, what the fuck do I do now? He switched off his phone. I have no idea where he is. I don't even know if he's actually booked a ticket. But a lot of his clothes are missing. He's actually packed for a trip, but I just don't know if this is some sort of sick joke. I feel my heart has been ripped out of my chest. What do I tell people? What do I do? Where do I start? The top commenter says, you call your bridal party right now for support and tell them to bring wine. You need to decide whether you're going to cancel the wedding and try to get the deposits back. Unlikely. Sell the wedding. Some people do this successfully. The couple wanting the wedding gets it cheaply, and you get more money back than just whatever deposits you can scavenge. Or go ahead with the wedding and turn it into a party/family reunion. Lemons/lemonade. Of course, maybe you can find a last-minute groom. Not recommended. From there, you need to contact everyone who is coming. Unless your bridesmaids, the groomsmen, family, whoever. People might be able to cancel their flights or change their tickets. And call his parents. If they paid for anything, they need a heads up too. Personally, if my child left someone at the altar, I would consider any money I put towards it a gift. Edit, also separate your finances. Commenter quotes saying that he doesn't feel the same anymore and hasn't for a while. And then says, this tells you everything. He's not invested in the relationship anymore, and I highly doubt he'll come out of his Asia trip eager to get back in your arms. For now, focus on cancelling everything. Get your parents or bridesmaid to help you. People will be there to support you. I wouldn't worry about that. One more comment who says, tell people the truth. Hugs. This looks really shitty for him to blindside you like this. Any bad stuff is reflected on him. If your stuff can't be cancelled and there's no possibility of any refunds, see if you can have a reunion party if your family is from out of town, or donate the reception and catering to a charity. I've heard of people donating their receptions, because the wedding is off, to groups with special needs or homeless people so they can enjoy a fancy party. And you may get a tax deduction to recoup some of your financial loss. For the flowers, if you're getting married in a church, the church may still enjoy having them, or it could brighten the day of people in a local nursing home or hospital. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. Call your friends ASAP and let them help you. That's what friends are for. At some point later, OP does update the post and says my post was locked before I had a chance to reply to anything. I read and processed every comment. Thank you to everyone who left me advice. Those who thought it might be Jack's idea of a prank, it unfortunately was true, and he is currently in Bangkok with a friend from high school. He must have been arranging this for months. The visa and injections for Southeast Asia alone take at the very least 4 weeks of planning ahead. I haven't spoken to him since the day he walked out, but his parents rang me the next day after I made my post. They told me he was staying with a high school friend, and that he was due to fly out the day after what was supposed to be our wedding day. He told them he plans on staying there for at least a year. He must have been saving on the side, as our joint account has not been touched and most of our paychecks went to our wedding fund and mortgage. It is sickening to consider how long he may have actually been planning this. Jack's parents like me, but they are pretty cold people, and didn't have much else to say other than offering me pragmatic advice and apologizing for their son's behavior. Since that phone call, I've heard nothing from them, although they did ask me to contact them regarding the apartment at some point in the future, which I plan to sell. I'll be moving back in with my parents as soon as I can find a buyer, as I can't pay the mortgage alone, although Jack's parents said they'll pay his half until then. As for the wedding, a lot of people suggested I give it to a charity or go through with the party anyway. Wish I could say it went to good use, but I actually spent the day with my brothers and bridesmaids, crying for around 16 hours in between sleeping. They made sure I was eating, and we watched a few films together, but overall, it was probably the worst day of my entire life. I left it up to my parents to contact people, and haven't gotten involved with the logistics of cancelling. I don't know if we got any money back. I'm not ready to talk about it yet. From what I understand, an email was sent out explaining that the wedding was cancelled and apologising for how much inconvenience this would cause. The email asked that no one contact me about what had happened, and if people had any questions to speak to my parents or brothers. My parents had a gathering at their house for those who had booked flights and hotels, etc., with some of the wedding food and drinks and stuff. I know around 50 people ended up going. I guess it was a sort of party, but my cousin said the mood was obviously pretty bad. None of Jack's family came, of course. Other than that, I don't really know what else to say. I've taken some time off work, and my brother has also taken 2 weeks off to make sure I'm never alone at home. Everyone is just so hurt and angry and disappointed in Jack. I just feel completely numb. I still wake up in the mornings hoping this is a weird dream stemming from pre-wedding nerves. I don't know how I'm going to get over this. I still love Jack so much. I feel like he's been possessed by someone else, but it is him. I'm going to go to a therapist to help me come to terms with this. Sorry this hasn't been a happy update, but it's not a happy situation. Thanks for reading. It just comes across as really, really cruel to do that. Especially considering that he knew for weeks about going, been planning it probably longer to be fair, let's face it. And all the questions and stuff it must leave OP. I'm glad that they were going for therapy, etc. Because after dealing with a situation like that, it must just leave you incredibly confused. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair